This is homework number 8, problem 1, and we're graphing another exponential function. Function of x is equal to 3 to the x power subtract 2. And we're going to need a calculator for this one. We're going to do an input and output table, and as usual we're going to use values close to 0 to see what the function is doing near 0. And I'm going to show you how to calculate these values. Let's start with 3 to the 0 power subtract 2. Remember, it's the exponent that's changing each time. You're putting the input value where the exponent is. So each time we're going to do 3 to the something subtract 2. Now this one we don't need a calculator for, because we know any number to the 0 power, except 0 that is 1. So this just becomes 1 subtract 2. 1 subtract 2. And 1 subtract 2 is negative 1. So when I input 0, my output is negative 1. Let's see how many of these we can do without a calculator. 3 to the first power, put 1 where the exponent is now. Subtract 2. Well, 3 to the first power is just 3. Subtract 2 is positive 1 this time. So I inputted 1 and I got out 1. Fairly just coincidence. Next one, 3 to the second power subtract 2. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 2 this time. So notice 3 to the 0 power, 3 to the first power, 3 to the second power. Each one of these subtract 2, and this time I get 7. So an input of 2 gives an output of 7. Alright, now let's go to the negative values. Those tend to be a little bit trickier, but you know what? I bet we can do them without a calculator for at least a little ways. 3 to the negative 1 power this time. Now remember, that means inverse. The inverse of 3 over 1 to the positive 1 power. So it's going to be 1/3. 1 over 3 to the first power, which is 1/3. Oops, but I forgot. I got to subtract 2 from that. I almost forgot. I should have written that down right away. 1/3 subtract 2. Think about it. You're at 1/3 and you drop down 2. That's going to take you down to what? Negative 1 2/3. Does that make sense? If you're not sure, use a calculator. Okay? It's like 1/3 plus a negative 2. So it's dropping down 1/3 from 2, which puts us at 1 2/3, but it's got to be negative because the negatives will win. Alright, 3 to the negative 2 power. That is the same as 1 over 3 to the positive 2 power, which is 1/9. Well, those weren't so bad. We didn't need a calculator after all. Let me write these as coordinate pairs. This one we input negative 2, and we got out 1/9. This one we inputted negative 1, and we got out negative 1 2/3. Or negative 1.67 if you will. The homework used decimals. I kind of like the fractions because I think they're easier to graph. Alright, we're going to make a grid, and don't be shy about making large graphs. The larger they are, the more accurate they tend to be. I use lots of grid paper when I graph. Now I have to get as high as 7 for my y, and as low as what? As low as negative 1 2/3. Something's wrong here. What did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot to subtract 2 off of this one. That's what's wrong. I've got to do 1/9 minus 2. That's what I get for not rewriting the whole equation. Alright, 1/9 subtract 2, that's going to be negative 1 8/9, or about negative 1.8 repeating. Sorry about the mistake there. I forgot the rest of the function, subtract 2. Easily done. Okay, so again we are looking at our y-axis, and I'm going to need to go from about negative 2, this is just about negative 2, to about positive 7. So I think I kind of like to space things nicely. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, since I have the room. That can help me graph a little bit more accurate down here in my negative numbers, negative 1, negative 2. Alright, and my x values, since they were really close to 0, I just need 1 and 2, and negative 1 and negative 2. Now it just so happens I did the spacing between my units the same on the x as I did on the y. That is not always necessary. I could have just left this 1 unit per notch, but I have plenty of room, so I'm going to leave it like this. Alright, I'm going to graph the easy values first. I'm going to graph 2, 7. 1, 2 to the right, and up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2, 7 will be here. 1, 1, that's a nice easy one to graph, right there. 0, negative 1. Don't go left or right, but go down 1. Now the goofy ones. Negative 1, negative 1 and 2/3. So left 1, down 1 and 2/3. So between here and here, 2/3 would be about there, right? And then negative 2, negative 1 and 8/9. Now negative 1 and 8/9 is nearly 2. Negative 2, that is. So I'm going to be graphing negative 2, almost negative 2. So left 2, down 1, not quite all the way to negative 2. Very close to it though. Okay, and we're going to connect these points with a nice smooth curve. Oh, I actually did a decent one that time. And here is our exponential function. They always head in one direction, and they are always a nice curve.